Welcome to Insights into Insurance with Tom Sorensen of Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is educational in nature and not intended to be acted upon without first consulting the appropriately licensed professional.
It's Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen. And Tom, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Paul. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Didn't really have to break out the shovel too much, so we'll just hope we don't have to do any more.
I don't even want to think about it yet.
Tom, really interesting show on tap, so if it's all right with you, we'll just jump right to the listener email.
Let's jump.
All right. Hello, Insights into Insurance. I read and hear a lot about uninsured motorists and was wondering, what is the fine if they get caught, and can they be arrested? Thank you, Steve.
Steve, I hope you're not asking because you're wanting to know because you don't have any insurance, but no, this is a good question, and these are questions that people are just curious about, what is the consequences? And what's great today is I ended up getting a special guest to come in to the studio today, and it's Kurt Freitag, the sheriff of Freeborn County. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for coming. This is great. I love getting guests like you to do this show, and gives just the perspective of who actually works with this kind of stuff every day, day in and day out. And so the main thing, I guess, what we would want to ask is, okay, I think there's three main items that you probably are looking for when people get pulled over. Maybe there's more than that. I'm just assuming of like proof of insurance and registration and driver's license. Is there anything else that you guys are looking for when you pull somebody over?
Actually, there's two things that we ask for. Proof of insurance and the driver's license.
Okay.
And, with technology, we've got computers on board in all of our cars, and we have that information at hand.
The registration information.
Yeah. In fact, we'll have that before we even get up to the car.
Okay.
And so we don't even ask people for registration. We may ask about current ownership. If we suspect maybe that the driver is not the current owner, or that there was a sale,
sure,
and that the registration hasn't been updated. But typically we have that information on hand, so we just ask for the driver's license and proof of insurance.
And I'm guessing if it's a stolen car that you're pulling over, you probably are wondering what the ownership deal is there, right?
And sometimes that's the case.
That is the case. I know. I watch Live PD.
Hey, you told me that email.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much an expert of watching getting pulled over, and now with watching Live PD. Anyway, so. What if, get back to Steve's question and asking about insurance, this is actually an insurance show, so what is the consequences if somebody doesn't have proof of insurance? What is the protocol and what happens?
Well, there's a couple things that could happen. Number one, if someone admits to just not having insurance.
Yep.
And there's, aside from an admission, there's quite a few indicators that people typically show that would make us ask them, do you or do you not have insurance on this vehicle?
Right.
And a lot of times you can see it on their face before they even answer, they don't. So in a case like that, what happens is they'll be charged with no insurance, driving without insurance. The vehicle gets towed because it has no insurance.
Right.
And it's a payable offense, and the fine is typically about $280.
Not cheap.
No, it's not. It's not.
Right.
And if someone says, no, I've got insurance, I just don't have the proof of insurance, then it's up to the deputy or the officer to either take that person's word that they do have insurance and not write a citation. But if some of the indicators are there and the deputy's like, I really don't believe you, but you're standing fast that you do have insurance, so I'm going to write a no proof of insurance citation.
Okay.
And so in that instance, the person will receive the ticket. They'll have an opportunity to fax a copy of either the proof of insurance card or a letter from the insurance agent with a signature, or the insurance policy itself. One of those three things has to be faxed into the state about 10 business days prior to the court date. And we got to have those 10 days, for processing time.
Oh, right, exactly. And you are right. We have actually had people come into our office. I won't mention any names, but where they'll say, "Can I get insurance? But can I get it backdated?" And
Right.
it's an absolute no-no for many, many reasons, but because it usually comes out that they got pulled over and they need to show proof. Don't come to me, Paul, and ask me for proof of insurance the day after you get pulled over.
Won't happen again.
Paul's always in our tail.
Yeah, I know. It's he's a frequent guest to your hotel, right?
Kind of like Otis.
Kind of like Otis.
Just in there.
Yeah. So driver's license. Okay. So then the same thing with driver's license. What is the protocol there when you ask for a driver's license and they don't have it?
If the person has a driver's license, and most people will believe them. You know, they're like, oh, gee whiz, I forgot my billfold or whatever. That's fine. We can still check their driving or their driver's license by getting their name and date of birth.
Right.
And we'll bring that to our car. And instead of swiping the driver's license on our card reader, we'll just type in their name and date of birth. That'll pop up. We'll get their DMV photos so we can verify that they are who they are.
The photo actually does come up. Yeah. So, okay.
So that's not a big deal. Statutorily, people are required to have their driver's license in their possession anytime they're driving, but things happen. Life happens. You know,
Right.
Sometimes you forget it, and we really don't write too many citations based off that. But you know, we do like to see people have their driver's license so that we can identify them when we need to.
Right. So, okay, so if a person actually doesn't have a driver's license, so what kind of offense is that as far as a citation and things like that?
That is a misdemeanor. The charge is no Minnesota DL driver's license, and you know, it's not anything earth-shattering. It's a misdemeanor.
Yep.
But it does cost you money.
Yep.
And it does go against your driving record for when you do eventually, you know, obtain a license. But and if you don't have a licensed driver with you, and if you're in an area where you can't leave the car, have it legally parked, it gets towed.
And that's not cheap either.
Sometimes that tow bill eclipses the fine.
Right.
Especially if you can't get it out that day or the next day, and you got those storage fees racking up.
And there's the other things too without having insurance and driver's license. Even for us, that ends up taxing onto their insurance when they do go get insurance. So there's cost above and beyond than what just that citation is.
You know, there's one other significant penalty that is involved with driving without insurance, which is what I'm getting at is it's very similar to getting a DWI as a license revocation.
Right.
So if you're convicted of driving without insurance, you lose your license. And that's for a 30-day time period. So if you're one of these people who has a job, and you got to get to that job, and you know it's not close by, bicycle distance or something like that, you're going to become a burden on somebody to drive you to work, or you've got to jump through the hoops to get a limited license.
Gotcha. Yep.
And you know, not everybody qualifies for that. So just losing your license is a huge inconvenience for the person. But then getting your license back, you have to pay reinstatement fees and the fine, and you know that's super expensive.
So the key is get insurance, and I think I know somebody that can do that, right, Paul?
Yes. I think so.
Right. So, hey, we're going to take a break, and we're going to get to the next half of our show here. We're going to talk about getting pulled over and what do we want to say? The things that go along with it. So, all right.
Good.
All right, we'll be back in 30 seconds right here on Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen.
Nationwide is on your side. You have a side that is retired, playing tag and getting tired. A side that owns your own store. Looks like you need to explain some more. That's why there's a Nationwide. They help protect and grow your many sides. Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
For all your many sides, there's Nationwide. Call Americana Insurance Group in Albert Lea and Wells today.
Back here on Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen. Tom, we've got Sheriff Kurt Freitag from Freeborn County here in our studios this morning, and we've talked a little bit about not being insured, an uninsured motorist, what goes into it. This, though, leads into the finding out you have an uninsured motorist, and that would be the portion where someone like the sheriff himself or one of his road deputies are pulling someone over, right?
Right. Well, yeah, you should know that, Paul.
Well, I mean, once a week, but, you know.
Yeah, so lights are on, Kurt, behind you, and it's an officer. And first of all, something that I've always wondered is, How far can someone drive when being pulled over? Example, someone's feeling uncomfortable pulling over in a busy street or highway. Is there a point where the officer says this person is in violation, or?
Usually, back up a little bit. You mentioned the location of the stop.
Right.
And the deputy or an officer or a state patrol officer, they're going to try and look ahead and find identify a good spot where that car should be pulled over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, on the backside of a hill is not one of them. In a curve where there's a no passing zone, that's bad. Near an intersection's bad. But as far as safety for the deputy himself or herself, if we can, and granted, getting out into the county, there's not a lot of street lights out there, but
Right.
if we have a town coming up, maybe we could stop that car right on the edge of town where we get a little bit of street lights, where it's flat, where there's good visibility, where other motorists can see us. Because there's always the possibility of someone crashing into the back of our car.
Yeah.
We see that all the time.
All the time.
Whether here in Minnesota we had Trooper Ted Foss was killed by some
sad
in a
story.
situation like that. Yeah, so it's really dangerous. And so our deputies and officers and troopers are all trained to try and find an area up ahead that they know is a good, safe spot. And prior to that area, they'll turn their lights on and try to gauge how that driver should, number one, recognize that they're being pulled over, and then also recognize, hey, I've got this spot right up here. I think I'm going to stop here.
Okay.
But to answer your question, if someone questions whether or not they've got an actual deputy, officer or trooper or someone
right.
behind them, I guess what I would do is take a look at the equipment that is flashing. What kind of car are they driving? How old is it? What's the make and model, if you can tell? A lot of people can look at headlights and say, yeah, that's a newer Crown Vic. Some agencies are still running Crown Vics. I know the PD's got a couple, the State Patrol's got some. But for the most part, we're running Tauruses and Chargers now, and then there's some SUVs. But you take a look at the lights. We don't have rotating lights anymore. They're all on drivers, so there's flash patterns. And not anybody can really go out and buy that stuff and install it correctly.
Okay.
So that's one thing I would encourage people to evaluate.
Right.
But the other thing is, if they still say, no, I really question this, I don't feel safe, reduce speed, turn on your flashers, call 911. Whoever is answering the phone as a dispatcher will be able to, tell that driver, yeah, you've got a whole pile of cops behind you trying to get you stopped. Find a place and pull over immediately.
Okay.
And we've had that happen. There was a female on I-35. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and this is going back years ago.
Right.
But she didn't believe that she had I don't remember if it was one of our deputies or a state patrol vehicle or who, but that was the case, and she ended up pulling over.
Sure.
By the time she stopped, there were like 6 cars behind her. We're all, waiting for a pursuit.
Right.
And we're getting cars up ahead, throw stop sticks and all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
Kurt, you brought up pursuits, and we have limited time left here on Insights to Insurance. What's going through a road deputy's mind, your mind, law enforcement in general, when this person doesn't stop? It looks like it's an opportune place to stop. What's going through your mind, whether it's daytime or nighttime?
Well, some of the things that we evaluate is what's the reason for the stop. Did we stop them for failing to use a turn signal? And that's not indicative of anything in itself, but if someone's doing 110 on the interstate, it's a little different than not using your turn signal in town. So we take a look at that. We take a look at the type of vehicle, how many people are inside, what's our ability to see inside. If it's a panel van with no windows to the side, no windows to the rear, anything could be inside that van, and we don't know it. But are there warrants? Are there drugs inside? Are there any weapons on board?
Right.
So a lot of these things are things that we're thinking of as that vehicle is either pulling over, or if they're not pulling over, and if it's daytime, we can see them looking in their mirror, looking back at us. We'll tell dispatch vehicle's not stopping. They're not accelerating, but they're not stopping.
Okay.
And that tells everybody, get ready. We could be having a pursuit. most of the time people do stop, but we've had almost a rash lately where we've had some pursuits.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul didn't get away from you, I heard, but
Not yet. I'm still waiting on that helicopter.
But
His Hugo doesn't go all that fast
anyway. Well, I just want to tell you thank you so much for coming in and giving this information.
You're welcome.
I just enjoy listening to this. And truthfully, I've started watching Live PD, and that is the most interesting show that I've ever. I just enjoy it because it gives you just that much more appreciation of what you guys go through. And it doesn't look fun a lot of times, and people don't realize how much pressure and fear that could be going on out there.
Right.
I mean, pulling somebody over at 2:00 in the morning out in the middle of nowhere has got to be a little intimidating. And so I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
And all the law officers out there. But in the meantime, if anybody wants to contact me about getting insurance, they can contact us at 507-377-2000 or email me any questions for the show or anything about insurance at insights@americanainsurance.com, or actually could get on our website at americanainsurance.com. Kurt, Paul,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Quick reminder going on today out at the Freeborn County Fairgrounds. It is a drug take-back day in collaboration. Albert Lea Police, Freeborn County Sheriff's Office, and the DEA runs 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
You've been listening to Insights into Insurance from Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is intended to be educational in nature. Before acting upon any information obtained during the Insights into Insurance radio show broadcast, consult an appropriately licensed professional.